Protests against the Citizen Amendment Law are raging across the country, and the Supreme Court is also looking at the matter. One of the petitioners is Congress MP and leader Jairam Ramesh, and he's here with us. He, of course, hardly gives interviews, but because he has a new book out about V.K. Krishna Menon, that's why he's agreed to speak with us. Thank you for speaking to us. Jairam Ramesh, I want to start by asking you about this petition that you filed in Supreme Court along with many other people.
Now, 59.
Right, so many petitions, and they've all been now, they've been put off till next month for the hearing. I want to ask you, do people have hope about this petition? Because so many other, you have people like Harish Salve, constitutional experts like Harish Salve saying, well, really, the government was within its jurisdiction in passing such a law and with such numbers. Why are you hopeful, if you are?
Well, they certainly passed the law, the bill in both houses of parliament because of their brute majority. Brute in the Lok Sabha, but narrow in the Rajya Sabha. But nevertheless, I don't want to comment on what Harish Salve has said. Well, my petition is there, it's in the public domain, and the Chief Justice is going to hear this petition on the 22nd of January. Very clearly, very categorically, very convincingly, we have argued in the petition that this is violative of the basic structure of the Constitution. It violates many articles of the Constitution, particularly Article 14. And I think, frankly, all the arguments that Harish Salve has given in defense of what the government has done doesn't stand the test of legal scrutiny. No, he has talked about the classification being reasonable. I don't want to get into Mr. Salve's arguments. I'm sure the government will argue. They've been issued a show cause not. I mean, they've issued a notice.
Yeah.
But the basic argument that we have made, and which was made in Parliament as well, that this is violative not only of the spirit of the Constitution, but is also violative of the letter of the Constitution. And it's a very brazen and a very blatant attempt at introducing a principle of determining citizenship, which was abandoned when the Constitution was made. And Mr. Amit Shah keeps talking of the partition of India, but he should realize that he should know. Even his rewriting of history will not rewrite that history, that the Constitution came after the partition. The partition was on 47 of August, and the Constitution was adopted first in November of 49, and then it came into effect in January of 1950. And what does that Constitution do? Yes, partition was based on religious grounds, no doubt about it. However, by 1950, that was no longer the basis of determining citizenship, and religion as an element or as an instrument of determining citizenship was consciously and categorically rejected by the Constituent Assembly, and that got reflected in the Constitution. Now, Mr. Amit Shah is, aided by very smart legal advisors who will remain nameless, is now trying to, make out the case that what he is doing is well within the Constitution. It is absolutely not true, and I'm sure that the Supreme Court is going to uphold my petition and the other petitions.
What makes you so confident? Because someone who was associated, you were the union minister in the UPA years, and someone who was associated with your government, Harish Khare, has written today that this comes at a time when the institutions are weak. He talks about the fact that, and he mentions the Supreme Court. So what is it that makes you...
I still have faith in the Supreme Court. I still have faith in the judiciary. And I still have faith that the Supreme Court judges who will hear this petition in January will go by the letter, number one, and the spirit of the law. Both the letter and the spirit.
Article 14
and the various other articles. I don't want to dwell too much on it because the matter is sub judice. In a way, it's sub judice. But I am confident, and I think that the Supreme Court will ultimately has always stood the country. It stood by the country, and I'm sure that it will uphold the petition.
So, Jairam Ramesh, that's a legal aspect.
I want to
talk about the political aspect and the perception bit. We've seen over the last 2 days tremendous amount of energy, mobilization by students across the country.
Students, youth, ordinary citizens, pensioners, and this had no political orchestration. I think Mr. Modi is completely off the mark when he says that the Congress party was behind this or some other political parties. I think this was spontaneous outburst of anger, frustration, disenchantment, call what you will. It came from all sections of society, and it shows that there was pent up anger, there was pent up frustration, there was pent up disenchantment, and people realize, I think, that the CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act, and the NRC, the National Register of Citizens, they are two sides of the same coin. And Mr. Amit Shah has repeatedly said that there will be a nationwide NRC, which is going to be a recipe for total unmitigated disaster